Have you ever walked away from a conversation only to realize hours later that she was trying to tell you something, but not with words? Have you ever sensed there was more happening beneath the surface, yet couldn't quite name it? Most men believe that desire reveals itself loudly, with flirtation, compliments, or a playful smile. But real attraction doesn't announce itself. It lingers in the quiet. It whispers. And if you've been too busy chasing certainty, chances are you've missed it. The truth is, a woman rarely says directly, "I'm drawn to you." She says it in the mirror of your posture, in the pause before she answers, in the way she mentions another man, not to compare, but to see if you flinch. She says it by not saying it at all. And that's where most men fail. Not because they don't care, but because they've never been taught to see. This is where Stoicism becomes more than just ancient philosophy. It becomes your compass. It teaches you to slow down, to become a student of silence. You stop reacting and start observing. You detach from your hopes and start seeing clearly. And when you do, the world opens. Women stop being confusing and start being transparent. This video isn't about tricks or games. It's about learning to read the deeper language of attraction, the one spoken through biology and behavior, not words. Today I'll show you 2 hidden signs that a woman is deeply drawn to you. Not the obvious ones, the signs most men walk past, but more importantly, I'll show you how to become the kind of man who doesn't miss them. Because once you can read what most can't hear, you stop chasing attention and start drawing in respect, naturally. The 2 signs through the lens of Stoicism. Signs number 1. The copycat effect. When stillness attracts imitation. Imagine you're sitting in a quiet cafe speaking with a woman across the table. You lean in slightly to emphasize a point, and moments later, she does the same. You adjust your posture, and not long after, her hand reaches for her hair, or she shifts her seat. To the untrained eye, it's nothing. But to the mindful man, it's everything. This is what psychology calls mirroring, but the Stoics would recognize it as the echo of presence. When a woman begins unconsciously mimicking your movements, tone, or rhythm, it's not random, it's resonance. Her nervous system has started to sync with yours. Why? Because stillness is magnetic. And when you're grounded in your presence, when you're not posturing, not trying to impress, not seeking approval, your calm creates space for her instinct to trust and follow. Stoicism teaches us not to be swayed by flattery or to seek validation, but instead to cultivate inner order. Ironically, this very order becomes what others are drawn to. So when she mirrors you, it's not just attraction, it's her subconscious aligning with your energy. But here's what makes the difference. You must notice without needing it, observe without reacting, appreciate it without clinging to it. Try this. Next time you're in conversation, slow your breath. Speak from a place of calm, then observe, not through the lens of ego, but through the eyes of clarity. You'll be surprised by what you begin to see. Signs number 2, the jealousy test. When stillness is mistaken for weakness, then revered as strength. Now let's move to something far more difficult to navigate, the jealousy trap. It's confusing, emotional, and often misunderstood. A woman who is genuinely developing feelings might suddenly withdraw. She may casually mention another man. She may grow distant, even cold. Most men panic. They explain, they chase, they try to fix the moment, and in doing so, they fail the test. But the Stoic man responds differently. Why? Because he knows the test isn't about the woman, it's about him. It's a mirror held to his stability. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." When she tests you by provoking jealousy, it's not cruelty, it's her way of asking, is he solid enough to remain unshaken? Is he confident enough to lead emotionally, even when things feel uncertain? If you react emotionally, you reveal need. If you try to explain or defend, you betray insecurity. But when you meet her indirect provocation with composed indifference, a slight smile, a gentle shift of focus, an unbothered demeanor, you show her something rare, a man not ruled by impulse. Understand this. Women are not looking for perfection. They are looking for presence. A man who doesn't fold under subtle pressure communicates something timeless. I belong to myself. And in doing so, he becomes someone worthy of being chosen. Not because he begged for it, but because he earned it in silence. So next time she draws distance or plants a seed of comparison, don't react. Don't explain. Simply return to your center. Let her watch you remain grounded while her emotional wind passes. In that moment, you're not just passing her test. You're becoming the type of man who can weather any storm, hers or life's. Most men go through life believing that if a woman truly likes them, she'll say it out loud, maybe even confess it directly. But that belief, while comforting, is rooted more in wishful thinking than in wisdom. The truth is, much of attraction, especially deep, subconscious interest, is communicated not in words but in contrast. And it's this contrast that the Stoic must learn to perceive clearly. Think of the difference between surface tension and deep current. A casual compliment or a playful joke may stir the surface, but real attraction, especially the kind that moves a woman toward obsession, pulls from below. It hides behind subtle shifts in behavior, behind actions she doesn't even realize she's making. And the key to reading these movements lies not in seeking affirmation, but in noticing difference. Here's where contrast reveals truth. A woman who is neutral toward you might laugh at your jokes, smile out of politeness, or engage in light conversation. It's pleasant, it's comfortable, but it's also easy to replicate. It's generic. But the woman who begins to mirror your tone, to match your breathing, to physically orient herself toward you in ways that defy conscious intent, that's different. The contrast between social interaction and biological response is what separates friendliness from fascination. And take the jealousy test. The woman who feels nothing doesn't test, doesn't provoke, doesn't care. She lets you drift because her emotions are still. But the one who subtly brings up another woman or playfully questions your attention or watches your reactions in moments of emotional ambiguity, she's not being careless, she's revealing a vulnerability. The contrast is in how she responds to you versus how she behaves with others. When her voice softens around you but sharpens elsewhere. When her eyes seek yours even while she's pretending to be distant. That's the contrast. And that's the signal. But here's the Stoic twist. You're not here to chase signals. You're here to become the kind of man who sees clearly, responds calmly, and holds his ground regardless of emotional weather. Most men crumble at signs of withdrawal or unpredictability. They either cling harder or lash out. But the man who understands contrast doesn't need to cling. He simply observes the shift. This is not detachment in the cold sense. It's clarity born from inner stillness. It's the ability to see not only what's in front of you, but what's changed from before. It's reading between the lines, not because you're trying to decode her like a puzzle, but because you've trained yourself to see people as they are, not as your ego hopes them to be. The Stoic watches, he listens. He notes the differences in tone, body language, timing, and when those shifts point to something deeper, when the contrast between indifference and intimacy becomes visible, he doesn't rush to label it. He remains composed, rooted, and patient. Because real knowing doesn't come from reacting, it comes from understanding. In that understanding lies the power not just to attract, but to connect. Not just to win her attention, but to earn her trust. And once you've earned that trust through quiet strength and unshakable presence, no game is needed. No proving, no performance. Only the steady magnetic pull of a man who lives by principle, not by persuasion. So here we are, standing at the edge of something simple, yet profound. Two subtle signs. Easily missed, yet deeply revealing. The way she unconsciously mirrors you and the way she tests you. Not to harm, but to see if you're truly someone worth letting in. These aren't tricks. They aren't tactics. They're reflections of deeper truths about how human connection is formed, and more importantly, how it's earned. What matters most isn't how quickly you can spot these signs. It's the kind of man you are when you do. A man who sees with clarity, not with desperation. A man who responds with stillness, not need. A man who doesn't rush to possess but learns to appreciate. That's where the Stoic path leads, not toward more conquests, but toward better choices, deeper understanding, and self-respect that doesn't waver under pressure. In a world that rewards noise, become the man who finds strength in silence. In a culture chasing constant validation, be the one who quietly observes, who knows his value doesn't depend on external approval. Attraction will come and go, but the calm, grounded presence of a man who has mastered his impulses, that's unforgettable. So here's what I invite you to do. Keep learning. Keep observing. Most of all, keep building the kind of internal world that no test, no glance, no moment of doubt can shake. If today's message spoke to something real inside you, don't let it fade. Let it root. Let it guide your next step. And if you found value here, I'd be honored to have you join this journey. Subscribe to Ultimate Stoicism and become part of a growing movement of men committed to clarity, calm, and quiet strength. Leave a comment below. Tell me what resonated most, or share a moment when you saw these signs but didn't know what they meant. Your words might just help another man see more clearly too. This is just the beginning. There is more to uncover, more to unlearn, and more to remember about who you truly are. Until next time, walk steadily, speak wisely, and live with your eyes open.